The room was silent, except for the sharp gasps and whispers that erupted like fireworks. Everyone leaned forward in their fancy chairs, staring at the lawyer as he read the will. The old wooden table in the grand library creaked under the weight of their greedy hopes. The family of Mr. Reginald Hawthorne, the richest man in Willow Creek, waited to hear who would get his massive fortune. His sprawling mansion, his shiny cars, and his secret bank account stuffed with millions. At the back of the room stood Clara, a quiet woman with worn-out shoes and a faded blue dress. Her hands trembled as she clutched her small purse. The others, Reginald's snobby children, his greedy cousins, and his fancy lawyer friend sneered at her. "What's she doing here?" sneered Beatrice, Reginald's daughter, her diamond necklace glinting. "She's just a maid. She probably came to clean the table." Laughter filled the room, sharp and mean, like a pack of hyenas. Clara's cheeks burned red, but she stayed quiet, her eyes fixed on the floor. The lawyer, Mr. Grayson, adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. "And now, the final part of Mr. Hawthorne's will," he said, his voice shaking just a little. He read slowly. "To my family, I leave my gratitude for your time, but my entire fortune, every house, every car, every cent goes to Clara Thompson." The room exploded. Beatrice screamed, "What?" Her brother Lionel slammed his fist on the table. "That's impossible. She's nobody." Cousins shouted, aunts gasped, and someone even threw a glass that shattered against the wall. Clara's eyes widened, her heart pounding like a drum. She? The fortune? All of it? Mr. Grayson held up a hand. "It's true. Clara inherits everything." The family turned on her, their faces twisted with rage. "You tricked him!" Lionel yelled, pointing at her. "You're a thief!" Beatrice hissed, stepping closer, her heels clicking like a snake's rattle. Clara backed away, her breath catching. How could this be? Why her? And why did they hate her so much? Just as Lionel lunged toward her, Mr. Grayson shouted, "There's more!" Everyone froze. He held up a sealed envelope, his hands trembling. "This letter, it explains why Clara was chosen. And it might change everything." The room went dead silent. What was in that letter? Clara's heart raced as she remembered the day she first met Mr. Hawthorne years ago. Back then, she was just a shy girl looking for a job. She had no idea her life was about to change forever. Build up Clara's quiet life. Clara Thompson grew up in a tiny house at the edge of Willow Creek. Her mom worked 2 jobs, and Clara helped by cleaning houses after school. She was quiet, always keeping her head down, but she had a kind heart. People in town called her simple because she didn't talk much and wore plain clothes. But Clara didn't mind. She liked her quiet life, reading books from the library and dreaming of a better future. One sunny day, when Clara was 18, she saw an ad. Housemaid needed at Hawthorne Manor. Everyone knew Mr. Hawthorne, the richest man in town. He owned half of Willow Creek factories, stores, even the park. People said he was grumpy and cold, but Clara needed the job. She put on her best dress, which was still patched at the hem, and walked to the huge mansion with its tall gates and sparkling windows. When she knocked, Mr. Hawthorne himself opened the door. He was old, with white hair and sharp blue eyes. "You're late," he grumbled, but his eyes softened when he saw her nervous smile. "Come in. Let's see if you're any good." Clara worked hard that day, scrubbing floors and dusting shelves. She didn't complain, even when her hands ached. Mr. Hawthorne watched her quietly, like he was studying her. Days turned into weeks, and Clara became his favorite maid. She didn't know why. She just did her job, always polite, always kind. Sometimes she'd catch him smiling when she brought him tea or read him a bit of her library book. "You're different, Clara," he said once, his voice low. "You don't want anything from me." Clara didn't understand what he meant. She just nodded and kept working. But the rest of the Hawthorne family, they hated her. Beatrice, with her fancy dresses, called Clara the help and snapped at her to hurry up. Lionel the son ignored her unless he was barking orders. The cousins whispered that Clara was beneath them. They didn't know Mr. Hawthorne was watching them too, noticing every mean word, every cruel laugh. One night, Clara overheard something strange. She was cleaning the library when she heard Mr. Hawthorne arguing with Lionel. "You're all greedy," Mr. Hawthorne shouted. "You don't care about me, only my money." Clara hid behind a shelf, her heart pounding. She wasn't supposed to hear that. But then Mr. Hawthorne said something that stuck with her. "The one who deserves it, they'll get everything." Pacing, suspense, and tension. Clara didn't know what Mr. Hawthorne meant, but those words haunted her. She kept working, ignoring the family's taunts. Sometimes, she'd find little gifts in her coat pocket, a shiny coin, a small book, even a locket with a tiny flower inside. They were always from Mr. Hawthorne, though he never said so. Clara kept them hidden, afraid the family would accuse her of stealing. Months passed, and Mr. Hawthorne got sicker. The family visited more, but not to help. They wanted to know about his will. Clara heard them whispering, plotting. "He'll give it to me," Beatrice bragged. "I'm his favorite," Lionel smirked. "No, it's mine. I'm the son." Clara stayed out of it, but she felt a knot in her stomach. Something big was coming. Then, one stormy night, Mr. Hawthorne called Clara to his room. His face was pale, his voice weak. "Clara," he whispered, "you're the only one I trust." He handed her a key, small and gold. "Keep this safe. Don't tell anyone." Clara's hands shook as she took it. What did it open? Why her? Before she could ask, he closed his eyes and fell asleep. The next morning, he was gone. Mr. Hawthorne had died. Cliffhanger. The key's secret. The day of the will reading came. Clara stood in the back, clutching the key in her pocket. The family's cruel words stung, but she kept her head high. Now, as Mr. Grayson held up the mysterious letter, everyone stared. Clara's fingers tightened around the key. Did it have something to do with the will? Was it proof she deserved the fortune? Or was it something else, something dangerous? Mr. Grayson broke the seal on the envelope. "This letter," he said, "was written by Mr. Hawthorne himself. It reveals a secret that only Clara knows." The family gasped. Beatrice's face turned pale. Lionel's eyes narrowed. Clara's heart stopped. What secret? She didn't know any secret. As Mr. Grayson started to read, a loud crash came from the hallway. Someone screamed. The room froze, and all eyes turned to the door. What was happening? And what did that key in Clara's pocket really mean? The crash from the hallway echoed like thunder, making everyone jump. Clara's hand tightened around the mysterious gold key in her pocket, her heart racing like a runaway horse. The family, still reeling from the shock of the will, turned toward the heavy oak door of the library. Beatrice's diamond earrings jangled as she snapped, "What now?" Lionel pushed past her, his face red with anger. "This is a trick. Someone's trying to scare us." Mr. Grayson, the lawyer, clutched the unopened letter, his glasses slipping down his nose. "Everyone, stay calm," he shouted, but no one listened. Clara stayed frozen at the back of the room, her worn-out shoes rooted to the floor. The family's cruel words from moments ago calling her a thief, a nobody still stung. But now, something else was happening. Another loud bang came, followed by the sound of shattering glass. The cousins gasped, and an aunt screamed, "We're under attack." Clara's mind spun. Was this about the will, or the key Mr. Hawthorne gave her? She didn't know, but fear crawled up her spine like a spider. Lionel stormed to the door and yanked it open. "Who's there?" he bellowed. The hallway was dark, the storm outside rattling the mansion's windows. A gust of wind blew in, carrying a strange, musty smell. Then, A figure appeared, a tall man in a black coat, his face hidden by a wide hat. He held a lantern that swung wildly, casting creepy shadows on the walls. "Stay where you are," he growled, his voice rough like gravel. The family screamed, and Clara ducked behind a bookshelf, her breath shallow. "Who are you?" Mr. Grayson demanded, holding up the letter like a shield. The man stepped closer, his boots thudding. "I'm here for what's mine," he said. "Hawthorne promised me something, and I know she has it." His gloved finger pointed straight at Clara. Every head turned, their eyes like daggers. Beatrice hissed, "See? She's a thief. She's been plotting with this criminal." Clara's heart pounded. She didn't know this man. What did he want? Build up. Clara's past and the key's mystery. Clara's mind flashed back to the night Mr. Hawthorne gave her the key. It was just a week before he died. The mansion was quiet, the family gone for the evening. Clara had brought him his usual tea, but he looked different, tired, his eyes full of secrets. "Clara," he'd whispered, "you're the only one who sees people, not money." He pressed the gold key into her hand. "This opens something important. Keep it safe. Don't let them know." His voice was urgent, almost scared. Clara had nodded, confused but loyal. She hid the key in her sock drawer, never telling a soul. But now, this stranger knew about it. How? Clara's thoughts raced as she peeked from behind the bookshelf. The man in the black coat was arguing with Lionel, who was shouting, "Get out, or I'll call the police." Beatrice was on her phone, whispering frantically. The cousins huddled together, throwing suspicious glances at Clara. She felt trapped, like a mouse in a room full of cats. Mr. Grayson waved the letter. "This will explain everything," he said. "Let's read it and settle this." The stranger laughed, a cold, creepy sound. "That letter won't help you," he said. "Clara knows the truth, don't you, girl?" Clara's stomach twisted. She didn't know anything, but the key in her pocket felt heavy, like it held a secret bigger than she could imagine. Pacing, suspense, and twists. The room was a mess of noise, shouting, crying, the storm howling outside. Clara's mind raced. Should she run, hide, or show the key? Before she could decide, the stranger stepped closer, his lantern lighting up his face for the first time. Clara gasped. He had a scar across his cheek, and his eyes were sharp, like he knew her. But she'd never seen him before. Or had she? Something about him felt familiar, like a half-forgotten dream. "Clara," the stranger said, his voice softer now. "You don't remember me, do you?" The family went quiet, confused. Clara shook her head, her throat tight. I don't know you," she stammered. The man smiled, but it wasn't kind. "You will," he said. "You have something of mine, something Hawthorne stole." Lionel lunged at the man, but the stranger was fast. He dodged and pulled something from his kawada, a small, rusty box with a lock that matched Clara's key. "This," he said, holding it up, "is what I came for, and Clara's the only one who can open it." The family gasped. Beatrice shrieked, "She's working with him! Arrest her!" But Clara was as shocked as they were. What was in that box? And why did Mr. Hawthorne trust her with the key? Mr. Grayson stepped forward, his hands shaking. "Let's read the letter," he said. "It might tell us what this is about." He started to open it, but the stranger grabbed his arm. "Not yet," he growled. "Clara, give me the key. Now." Clara's hand froze in her pocket. If she gave it to him, what would happen? If she didn't, would he hurt someone? The family stared, some angry, some scared. She was alone, with no one to trust. Cliffhanger, a dangerous choice. The stranger's eyes locked onto Clara's, his hand outstretched. "The key, Clara," he said, his voice like ice. "Give it to me, or this gets ugly." The family backed away, leaving Clara exposed. Lionel muttered, "Let her deal with it. She's the thief. Beatrice smirked, like she was enjoying Clara's fear. Mr. Grayson held the letter tightly, his face pale. Clara, do you have a key? He asked. Clara's heart pounded so loud she thought it might burst. Should she give the key to this scary man, or keep it and hope the letter explained everything? The storm outside roared, and a lightning flash lit up the room. Then, from the hallway, another sound, a low, eerie creak like someone else was coming. The stranger's head snapped toward the door, his scar glinting in the lantern light. We're out of time, he whispered. Choose, Clara, now. What was in the box? Who was coming? And what secret was Mr. Hawthorne hiding? The library felt like a trap, the air thick with fear and suspicion. Clara's hand trembled in her pocket, her fingers wrapped around the gold key Mr. Hawthorne had given her. The stranger's scarred face loomed closer, his lantern casting long, creepy shadows across the walls. Give me the key, Clara, he demanded, his voice sharp like a knife. The rusty box he held gleamed faintly, its lock shaped exactly like her key. The family, Beatrice, Lionel, and the cousins, watched her like hawks, their eyes full of hate. They thought she was a thief, a liar, working with this dangerous man. But Clara was just as confused as they were. The eerie creak from the hallway grew louder, and everyone turned. Footsteps echoed, slow and heavy, like someone dragging something. The stranger's eyes narrowed, his hand tightening on the box. Hurry, girl, he hissed. Clara's heart pounded. She didn't know what the key opened or why it mattered, but she felt its weight like a secret too big to hold. Mr. Grayson, the lawyer, clutched the unopened letter, his face pale. Clara, do you have this key? He asked again, his voice shaking. I don't know what to do, Clara whispered, her voice small. Beatrice laughed coldly. She's stalling. She's guilty. Lionel stepped forward, his fist clenched. Give it to him, or I'll take it myself. Clara backed against a bookshelf, trapped. The footsteps in the hallway stopped, and a new shadow appeared in the doorway, a woman, old and hunched, with a shawl over her shoulders. Her eyes locked onto Clara and she smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Clara Thompson, the woman said, her voice raspy. You've caused a lot of trouble. The family gasped. Who's that? An aunt cried. The stranger spun around, his lantern shaking. You, he growled at the woman. You shouldn't be here. Clara's mind raced. Did these two know each other? Were they both after the key? The old woman stepped into the room, her cane tapping the floor. Hawthorne trusted you, Clara, she said. But you don't even know why, do you? Clara shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. She felt like a mouse caught between two cats. Build up? Clara's hidden connection? Clara's thoughts flashed back to her years working for Mr. Hawthorne. He wasn't like the rest of his family, greedy, loud, and mean. He was quiet, watching everyone like he was testing them. Clara remembered one rainy afternoon when she'd found him in the library, staring at an old photo. It showed a young girl, maybe Clara's age, with a kind smile. Who's that? Clara had asked, dusting a shelf. Mr. Hawthorne's eyes softened. Someone I lost, he said. She was, like you, good, honest. He never explained more, but after that, he started leaving her those small gifts, the coin, the book, the locket. Clara hadn't thought much of it then, but now it felt important. Did that photo have something to do with the key or the box? She remembered another strange moment. A few months before Mr. Hawthorne died, he called her to his study and shown her a hidden drawer in his desk. If anything happens to me, he'd said, check this drawer. You'll understand. Clara had nodded, thinking he was just being dramatic. But now, with the stranger, the old woman, and the letter, she wondered if the drawer held answers. Back in the library, the tension grew thicker. The old woman pointed her cane at the stranger. You're a fool, Marcus, she said. The family gasped. Again, Marcus? Who was he? The stranger, Marcus, laughed bitterly. And you're too late, Agnes? He shot back. Clara's head spun. How did they know each other? And why did they both want her key? Pacing, twists, and rising stakes. Mr. Grayson raised the letter, his hands trembling. This will explain everything, he insisted. He tore it open, but before he could read, Marcus lunged and snatched it. Not so fast, he growled, holding the letter over his lantern's flame. The family screamed, No! Clara's heart sank. If that letter burned, she'd never know why Mr. Hawthorne chose her. But Agnes, the old woman, moved fast for her age. She swung her cane, knocking the lantern from Marcus's hand. It crashed to the floor, the flame flickering out. The room went dark, lit only by flashes of lightning from the storm outside. Chaos erupted. Lionel tackled Marcus, shouting, Give it back. Beatrice screamed, She's getting away, thinking Clara was running. But Clara hadn't moved. She was frozen, clutching the key, her mind racing. Agnes's voice cut through the noise. Clara, the drawer! Check the drawer! Clara's eyes widened. The hidden drawer in Mr. Hawthorne's study, did Agnes know about it? Was that where the answers were? Marcus broke free from Lionel, grabbing the rusty box again. Clara, the key! Now! He yelled. The family turned on her, shouting accusations. She's working with them. She's a criminal. Clara's legs shook. She wanted to run, to hide, but there was nowhere to go. Agnes stepped closer, her eyes soft but urgent. Clara, you're not who they think you are, she whispered. You're the only one he trusted. Cliffhanger. The drawer's secret. Clara's heart raced. The drawer. She had to get to Mr. Hawthorne's study. But Marcus was closing in, his scarred face furious. Last chance, Clara, he roared, holding up the box. The letter was crumpled in his other hand. The family circled like wolves, ready to pounce. Agnes grabbed Clara's arm, her grip surprisingly strong. Run, child, she whispered. The study now. Clara bolted, dodging Lionel's grab. She ran through the dark hallway, the storm's thunder shaking the mansion. Behind her, she heard shouts and footsteps. Marcus, the family, maybe Agnes. The study wasn't far, but it felt like miles. She reached the door, her hand shaking as she pushed it open. The desk was there, dark and heavy. The hidden drawer. She fumbled for the key, her breath ragged. But as she knelt to open it, the door slammed behind her. She spun around, and there was Marcus, holding the box and the letter, his eyes wild. Open the drawer, Clara, he said, his voice low and dangerous. Or I burn this letter and everything you want to know. What was in the drawer? Would it explain why Mr. Hawthorne chose her? And who was chasing her now? Clara's hands shook as she knelt by Mr. Hawthorne. Hawthorne's heavy oak desk, the gold key cold in her palm. The study was dark, lit only by flashes of lightning that made the shadows dance like ghosts. Marcus loomed behind her, his scarred face twisted with impatience. Open it, Clara, he growled, holding the rusty box in one hand and the crumpled letter in the other. No more games. The sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway. The family, or maybe Agnes, was coming. Clara's heart raced. Whatever was in that drawer could explain everything. Why Mr. Hawthorne chose her, what the key unlocked, and who Marcus really was. She fumbled with the key, her fingers slippery with sweat. The desk's hidden drawer was tricky to find, tucked under a carved panel. She pressed the key into a small slot and turned it. Click. The drawer popped open, revealing a leather-bound journal and a small yellowed photo, the same one Mr. Hawthorne had shown her years ago, of a girl with a kind smile. Clara's breath caught. Was this connected to her? Before she could grab the journal, Marcus shoved her aside, snatching it. Finally, he hissed, flipping it open. His eyes scanned the pages, and his face changed anger mixed with shock. What is it? Clara whispered, her voice trembling. Marcus ignored her, muttering, He lied to me. The footsteps grew louder, and the door burst open. Agnes stood there, her cane tapping, her eyes sharp. Give it to her, Marcus, she said. That journal belongs to Clara. The family piled in behind her, Beatrice, Lionel, and the cousins shouting, She's stealing again. But Agnes raised her hand, silencing them. You don't understand, she said. Clara's not just a maid. Clara's head spun. What did that mean? Marcus clutched the journal, his knuckles white. Hawthorne betrayed me, he said, his voice shaking. He promised me the fortune. Agnes laughed, a dry, bitter sound. You were always greedy, Marcus. You thought you could bully your way in. But Hawthorne saw through you. Clara stared at the photo in her hand. The girl looked familiar, like someone she'd seen in a mirror. Build up, a hidden truth. Clara's mind raced back to her childhood. She'd grown up poor, with just her mom, who never talked about her dad or any family. But once, when Clara was little, her mom had mentioned a rich uncle who left them behind. Could that be Mr. Hawthorne? Was Clara related to him? The thought made her dizzy. She'd always thought she was nobody, just a girl from Willow Creek. But Mr. Hawthorne's gifts, his trust, the key it, all pointed to something bigger. In the study, Agnes stepped closer. Clara, she said softly, that photo is of your mother. Hawthorne was your grandfather. The room gasped. Beatrice screamed, That's a lie. Lionel's face turned purple. She's a servant, not family. But Clara's heart stopped. Her mother, her grandfather. She looked at the photo again, her hands shaking. The girl's smile was her mom's. Clara was sure of it. Marcus laughed bitterly, holding up the journal. This proves it, he said. Hawthorne wrote it all down. He hid you, Clara, to protect you from us. He glared at the family. From them. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Protect her? From what? Agnes nodded. He knew his family would never accept you, so he tested the menu, Clara. You passed. Pacing, twists, and rising tension. Before Clara could process this, Lionel lunged at Marcus. Give me that journal, he roared. The two men crashed into the desk, papers flying. Beatrice grabbed Clara's arm, her nails digging in. You're not getting away with this, she hissed. Clara yanked free, clutching the photo. She needed answers, but the room was chaos. Agnes swung her cane, shouting, Enough! The family froze, stunned by her authority. Marcus broke free, holding the journal high. This changes nothing, he yelled. The box is mine. He raised the letter over a candle on the desk, its flame flickering. Clara gasped. If he burned it, she'd lose the last piece of Mr. Hawthorne's words. She dove forward, grabbing his arm, but he was stronger. The letter caught fire, its edges curling black. No! Clara cried, tears streaming down her face. Agnes moved fast, knocking the candle over. The flame went out, but half the letter was gone. Marcus laughed, tossing the journal to the floor. You'll never know the whole truth now, he said. Clara scrambled for the journal, her hands shaking. Pages were filled with Mr. Hawthorne's neat handwriting stories of her mom, his regrets, and a secret about the box. But before she could read more, a new sound came from the hallway, a low, rumbling growl like an animal. Cliffhanger, the beast at the door. The growl grew louder, and the family screamed, backing against the wall. Clara clutched the journal and photo, her heart pounding. Marcus froze, his eyes wide. What did you do, Agnes? He whispered. Agnes's face paled, her cane trembling. It's the Guardian, she said. Hawthorne's last secret. The door shook as something heavy slammed against it. Wood splintered, and a massive shadow filled the doorway. Clara's breath stopped. What was it? Was it protecting the boxer coming for her? Marcus gripped the rusty box, his face white. Clara, he said, his voice shaking. Open this box. It's our only chance. What was the Guardian? What was in the box? And would Clara survive to learn the truth about her family?